To begin our FJA math notebooks for 8th graders, we're going to begin our entry on multiplying rational numbers. For this video, all you're going to need is this sheet of paper, your 8th grade math notebook, obviously. You should have an entry in there already, so we're going to go to another page. Pencil, glue, and scissors. So let's start by, with this piece of paper here, cutting out on all of the dashed lines, but not cutting any of the solid lines. So here are all of our materials cut out. Make sure you're throwing away all of your trash in an appropriate way. In fact, you can probably recycle it, but be nice to your parents here and just make sure that you are being responsible with your waste. Anyways, for this math notebook entry, now let's bust out the notebook. On the top, I'm going to write multiplying rational numbers. And now let's start gluing on. We're going to glue on this side, put this right in the middle. All right, so you'll notice I glued it kind of towards the top of the page here so that I have some room for notes down here at the bottom. And then we are going to be writing in here. And then one last taping thing. I'm going to put this right in the middle of this box here. Okay, before we continue filling out this box here, I do want to make a couple of notes at the bottom. And so I'm going to make these notes really quickly and then explain them to you. The first one is going to be that multiplication is the same as repeated addition, and then I'm going to give an example of that. All right, so what I wrote there is that multiplication is the same as repeated addition. So 4 times -3. Remember, if we have one number and then there's really no space and then another number in parentheses, that means multiplication. That's truly the same as writing 4 times -3. And because it's a -3, I put it in parentheses. That way I know that it's not saying 4 minus 3. The parentheses really helps indicate that. And that's the same as adding together -3 4 times. So -3 plus -3 plus -3 plus -3 equals -12. And I'm going to show you that here in a second on a number line. So just to be clear, I would like you all to put this in your notebooks. It's just a really good reminder. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start at 0 because of multiplication problem. We're just going to start at 0 here. So the first thing we do to 0, we add -3. So let's go over -3 here, -3. And because we're adding -3, we're going to go this way on the number line. Okay, so that's one -3. Then we're going to add another -3. And then another -3, that's our third -3, and then another -3. And that's going to land us at -12. So to continue with our work here, all we're going to do now is we are going to make a little reminder for ourselves. What happens when we multiply a positive by a negative rational number, a negative by a positive, a negative by a negative, and a positive by a positive? So we're going to need to get out these things right here. And I want you all to pause and guess. What happens, what sign do we get if we multiply a positive by a negative number, a negative by a positive number, a negative by a negative number, and a positive by a positive number? Pause the video here and see if you can figure that out for yourself really quickly. All right, so let's start here. A positive by a negative number. So if you multiply a positive and a negative number, you are going to get a negative answer, a negative product. So let's put negative right there. If you multiply a negative by a positive number, again, you're going to get a negative product. If you multiply a positive by a positive, you're going to get a positive product, and a negative by a negative, you're also going to get a positive product. So I'm going to glue those in. Last thing, we're going to enter some examples. And so I'm going to start here and do a couple of examples for positive times a negative. So I'll flip this up. I've got my answer here, so I will know in the future if I have questions, positive times a negative, the answer is going to be negative, and then I'll write down a couple examples. 6 times negative 4. See if you can pause and figure out what the answer is going to be. Oh, that's going to be negative 24. How about 8 times, and I'm going to use a different nomenclature there, times, so it's the same as 6 right next to a parentheses with negative 4. 6 times negative 0.5. Go ahead and do that math for yourself, but that's going to equal 4, and it's going to be negative, so that's going to be negative 4. I'm going to go around and write 2 examples under each of these. Watch along. You can write my examples, or you can come up with your own. Just double check and make sure they are correct. And there you have it, your entry into your math notebooks for multiplying rational numbers. I hope that comes in handy and maybe helped you visualize this. And I also hope it was pretty fun. Until later, peace.